Hello everyone, welcome to the course on Health Humanities, Indian and Western Medical Knowledge Traditions, Module 1, Introduction to Health Humanities. This is lecture 4, which is on Mahatma Gandhi on health and illness, a case studies. The question like why Mahatma Gandhi has become part of health humanities. Why did I choose to discuss about Mahatma Gandhi? And the answer is very simple that Gandhi provides tools and techniques to understand and deal with the problems of illness to a large number of populations who are not able to afford the expensive medical facilities. And Mahatma Gandhi also provides like how one can manage one's day-to-day life, one's daily routine, as well as how one can practice one's best of self. In this lecture, I will be talking about what Mahatma Gandhi has to say about human body and human beings' indulgence in different activities, both good and bad, and how one can coordinate the senses. Then I'll take up Gandhi's views on five elements: air, water, sky, earth, and sunlight, and how they contribute to health and promote a better well being. Gandhiji has also to talk about food, and then he talks about how to prevent illness, and finally he focuses upon the laws of nature, which he calls nature cure. In this lecture, I will talk about what Gandhi thinks about human body and how human body are part of one's health. What significance, what role human body have in one's maintenance of health. And Gandhiji says that good health comes from personal hygiene, physical activity, and following the laws of nature. And the idea of following the laws of nature also applies to human body. And he thinks that there must be some kind of harmony between mind and senses, mind and body. This is very similar to the Indian concept of swasthya, where one needs to have some kind of mental balance in oneself. And he goes on to say that healthy body is required, but physical strength is not the only form of health, because sometimes a strong soul can also exist in a weak body. What we need to focus upon here that Gandhiji is focusing upon soul, not on the body. Soul means something that one has to think in terms of values and ethics. So values and ethics are very important in terms of one's health. And how one has to look at these values and ethics, then one has to actually think about some kind of harmony between the laws of nature and one's requirements, and how one indulges in different activities. And in this regard, Gandhi says that one has to focus on five elements and then consider that how one has to utilize one's body. One can use one's body to abuse, to beat, to oppress other people. One can use one's power to inflict trauma, to inflict some kind of problems upon other people. But at the same time, self-restraint of one's body is also necessary. And he says that self-restraint are more important than abuse of one's physical power. He says that man should be the guardian of his body, and the duty of human being is in the ideal service of mankind. So one has to use one's body for the best of things which one can do in the society. He says that a healthy body is not for the sake of troubling other people, but it is for the sake of helping other people. And hence, this is what he calls the ethical use of one's healthy body. Further, Gandhiji is against killing of animals and their vivisection for the sake of our bodies. We often see that animals have been used for experiments, and then those experiments are carried upon human beings. Gandhi says that we actually kill animals, we dissect them, and this is against our religious beliefs. One should not kill animals, one should not harm any other human beings. Rather, one should try to coexist. So the idea of non-violence is also very central to Gandhiji's notions of health. And Gandhiji was not a doctor, but he did talk about the role of doctors. He did talk about hospitals in his several writings, which are published in his journals. And he also wrote a book called Hind Swaraj, where he talks about health, illness, and the role of doctors. He has certain notions about health and cure. He says that sometimes human beings have become so indulgent with medicine that they have lost control over themselves. They invite their own problems. And in this regard, he says that business of a doctor is to take care of the body. Their business is really to rid the body of disease that may afflict it. How do these diseases arise? Gandhi says that these diseases arise because of our negligence or our indulgence. Sometimes we overeat and we have the problems of indigestion. And then we consult a doctor gives a medicine, and when a person gets cured, he will overeat again and again. The problem will reoccur. And here Gandhi says that modern hospitals and doctors' cure has made human beings unconscious about their own health. And the intervention of doctors make people indulge in their own problems. Because when doctor provides medicine, they find some kind of ease in their body, and then they keep on repeating the course of medicine, which results in the loss of self-control, which results in the loss of control over one's body and one's mind. What we find over here in Gandhiji, that one should not overindulge. One must have self-restraint and self-control. Self-restraint and self-control are very necessary for a healthy body and a healthy mind. He talks about the coordinations of senses, and that there must be some kind of coordination between body and soul, body and mind, between different senses. He talks about that one must have coordination between 5 senses of action, like hands, feet, mouth, anus, and genitals, and then 5 senses of perception, like the senses of touch through skin, the smell through nose, taste through tongue, seeing through the eyes, and hearing through the ears. For example, that we find in a lot of stream of consciousness narrative that a person may be physically present at one place, but he can be mentally preoccupied by something else. One cannot be physically and mentally present if one is not having the coordination of his or her senses. So Gandhi says that one must have the coordination of 5 sections of action and 5 senses of perception. and these coordinations leads to some kind of one's self in oneself, that one must have one's self in one's body. One, for example, like what happens that sometimes people are over disturbed and their mind will be fluctuating to different incidents and episodes, different problems, and they may be thinking physically they may be at somewhere else. So what we find over here, that there must be some kind of coordination between different organs as well as one's mental and emotional well-being. Then Gandhiji talks about the 5 elements and what they contribute in our life. The first element, air. Gandhiji says that the role of air is very important in our life. One cannot survive for a moment without air. We breathe air and it purifies blood. So one must think about having a fresh air to breathe in. And then he talks about like how to breathe. Gandhi says that some people breathe through mouth. He says this is something inappropriate. One should breathe through nostrils because nostrils clean the air. And then he goes on to say that we often clean our mouth, our face, but we forget to clean our nose. What he means by cleaning nose is that one has to clean the nostrils by sucking water from one nostril and then taking it out from another nostrils. Then he says that one should spend one's time in open air under the stars, and when one is like sleeping and trying to cover one's body, then one should not cover one's face so that he can breathe healthy air. Then he talks about water, the role of water in one's health. One, like he always focuses on hygienic, clean water. But more than that, he talks about how water provides different therapies. And Gandhiji himself has used multiple water therapies in his life. He talks about using wet seed packs to treat fevers, smallpox, and skin problems. He says that one has to actually use cotton sheet and then soak it with cold water, and when one is in fever, one can actually then use these cotton sheets. It reduces fever. He talks about the use of hot water to treat swollen and bruised areas. He talks about steam bath, which can treat rheumatism and joint pains. And how to use steam bath, he says that one can actually boil water in a pot. One can also use maybe the leaves of neem and then put the pot under a cot and then put one seat on the cot, and the person can sleep on the cot, and from below one can get a steam bath. And then he talks about like how Sitj bath can help patients to feel better. He talks about cold water, which can be used to treat headaches. And in this way, Gandhiji has talked about water therapy, and he is less centered, less dependent upon medicines. And why he talks about water therapy? Because the time when Gandhiji was living, most of the people were poor and they had less access to medical and diagnostic systems, medical and diagnostic opportunities. Then Gandhi talks about the role of sky. He calls it Akash. He says that we have two types of Akash, one which is above and one within. He calls Akash as a space which is within our pores of skin, which are in our digestive tracts and veins. He says that when we think about the Akash, the tether within, and then what we are eating, how does it affect our digestive system? Or how does it affect our veins? For example, like when people think that they have high cholesterol, or when they have some other kind of problems, they have some kind of blockage in their heart. So at this moment, Gandhi says that one has to think about one's space within and think about how one can work on it. And one also has to think about one's mental akash, one's mental space. He says that we have two types of universe. One, the universe which is outside, and the one which is inside, which is in one's mind, and that is a mental space, the mental akash. And one needs a mental satisfaction, mental healing. One needs some kind of ease of mind. And how this can be done? He says the very simple way is that one can gaze at the stars, and then one can see the presence of God, one can see the presence of cosmos, the presence of entire cosmetic energy in oneself. One can start meditating on the stars. And why meditating or gazing at the cosmic power is so important? Because sometimes human beings think, or maybe they become so much self-centered that they think that they are the sole determiner of this earth. They can do whatever they want. And then when one looks at the cosmos, the world outside, it will make them feel that how small they are. Which means the people who develop ego, looking at the cosmos, looking at the outer space, will reduce their egos. It will reduce their self-centeredness, and then they will find that they are interconnected with the larger universe. So watching at the sky connects the individual with the larger universe, and the communication between universe and one's mental space provides some kind of mental satisfaction. Then Gandhi talks about the role of earth and how earth, clay, can have natural therapeutic purposes. He himself has used mud for reducing fear, to reduce the poisons of scorpion and wasp bite. However, he says that it didn't work so much in the cases of scorpion and wasp bites. And then he talks about how mud can be used. He says that one can actually make a patches of mud which can be 3 inches broad, 6 inches long, and 1.5 inch thick, and then it apply it, and then one can have bath. He talks about that it can reduce one's headache. He says that there are certain types of clay which can be used to reduce some kind of mental headaches. He talks about black soils and red soils. Further, the earth, which upholds everything, Gandhi says that earth has some kind of extraordinary patience, and the coordination of earth provides patience to human beings. And then sunlight, that sunlight is very important in one's life. It is a very powerful source of germicides and provides light and heat. Of course, it provides vitamin D. And then Gandhi talks about the role of sun bath to reduce cold or to help in tuberculosis. And he says that one should expose one's body in the morning in the sun. And so in this way, he talks about that human body is constructed through these 5 elements, and one should be always in close contact with these 5 elements. And then coming to food, Gandhi says that there are 3 types of food. One is vegetarian, another one is flesh, which one calls non-vegetarian, and then mixed. And Gandhiji prefers vegetarian food. And some people think that they can consume milk or sterile egg. There are debates, like some people say that milk is an animal product and hence it's a part of non-vegetarian food. And sometimes the people like who take milk but do not eat eggs. Gandhi says that if one can take milk, then one can also eat sterile eggs, and there's no difference. But more than that, Gandhiji emphasizes fasting. He says that fasting is something which heals body, which heals mind. So the idea of health, well-being can be better improved by fasting. He says that one can avoid large use of chilies, pepper, turmerics, or maybe salts, mustards, etc. Gandhi says that when we think about the medical opinion, we find that a large number of them favor a mixed diet. And when we look at our contemporary world, then we find that there is a growing need for being a vegetarian, because our body is built in such a way that human beings should eat vegetarian food. He says that our stomach, our intestines, our teeth, they are meant for vegetarian food. Gandhi talks about like how one can prevent illnesses, how one can prevent diseases. And then he says that one should maintain some kind of hygienes. And it can be hygienes around one's existence, at one's home, in terms of water, in terms of air, in terms of the place one is residing, which can prevent diseases like cholera, malaria, tuberculosis, etc. Then Gandhiji also talks about environmental hygienes, cleanliness, and personal hygiene. And he says that they are very important in preventing illness. And finally, he says that one must have faith in God, and one must adhere virtues and ethics. He gives his own narratives about like how he has treated his sons when they were very ill, and sometimes he was concerned that they may not get cured, but he had faith in God, and they got cured. And lastly, he says that one must follow the laws of nature, and because if one deviates from the laws of nature, it causes ill health. And one of the way to follow the laws of nature is to follow the patterns of 5 elements, which I discussed a little before: earth, sky, light, air, and one must also observe self-discipline and self-restraint. In this regard, he has developed the idea of nature cure, that one must follow nature cure. But he says that the nature cure man doesn't sell a cure to the patient. He teaches him the right way of living in his home, which would not only cure him of his particular ailment, but also save him from falling in the future. Which means nature cure is not just treating particular illness or disease, but helping the people how they can balance, how they can live their life in a better way. Thus, nature cure is a way of life. It is not just simply a course of treatment. And nature cure cannot claim that it can treat all the diseases. If it can treat all the diseases, a man or a woman can be immortal. So nature cure is the path which Gandhiji follows. Coming to the conclusion, what Gandhi says about health and well-being is basically dealt in terms of his faith in 5 elements, which constitutes the human body, and his adherence to nature cure. He says nature cure is in 2 parts. One, which is taking care of oneself through the name of God, Ram Nam. Secondly, secondly, preventing illness by inculcating the right and hygienic living. He says that nature cure implies an ideal mode of life that in its turn presupposes ideal living conditions in towns and villages. The name of God is, of course, the hub around which the nature cure system revolves, which means that nature cure is something which can provide all kind of mental, physical, and psychological healing to humankind. Thank you.